You guys, I just want to show you some of the things that I use in my garden. Hopefully this will help you guys as you are trying to garden, and you guys, we can all just grow food together, right? Okay, so this is the brand of soil that I use. I get this at Walmart. It's the Expert Garden brand, and usually it runs about $4.68 for one bag. Now, like I said, it is a little woody, but I have to be honest with you, I've used other soils and this works just as good and sometimes even better. There was another organic soil that I got. I'm not even going to tell you the name of it because I'm just saying it wasn't good. But this one, I haven't had any problems with it. Now, I know that this is for the garden. It's for in-ground. But again, y'all, I've been using this for my grow bags and for my containers, and it's been working fine. Maybe, who knows, maybe my things would grow better if I used something else, maybe not. So I have been using this again as my soil, and then, all right, I'm bringing it down here. So this is what I've been using for compost. This is called Living Earth Organic Compost, and I get this from Lowe's, or my husband, he gets this from Lowe's for me. But this is what the bag looks like, and what I will do, so what I do is for my 20-gallon grow bags, I'll put one full bag of soil inside of the grow bag, and then I will put a third of the compost, the Living Earth compost, on top of that. And then after I do that, okay, my neighbor, he's about to mow his lawn, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. But after I do the compost, then I'll add some of this Expert Garden Organics vegetable and tomato food. It has a 3-5-6 ratio. I know the first one stands for nitrogen. I forget, there's nitrogen, phosphorus, and I can't remember the third one. I like using this particular one, and it has worked really well for me. I really like it. This brand, I've just liked it, and it's a cheaper brand. This bag I got for $9, I believe. My husband bought it for me, I think at Walmart, because the Expert Garden brand is a Walmart brand. But yeah, so I'll do that, and then after I do that, I'll just mix it in to the soil. It gives you measurements in the back. Do I follow the measurements? Highly likely not. Does it work? Yep, it works. But hey, there are directions, so you can use the measurements. All right, the next thing I use, voila. So I use this, and you guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, it stinks bad. It's like the worst smell, because basically it's fermented fish. So I use this Alaska fish plant food, and it has a 5-1-1 ratio. 5, again, that first number is for the amount of nitrogen. I do this when I first plant out my seedlings. The reason I do this is because when you first plant out your seedlings, you want your seedlings to produce like a lot of leaves. You want it to get strong. So that is generally the only time that I will use this, unless I'm using it on like my lettuces or my greens or like my basil, oregano, because these are leafy plants. I want them to grow, so I'll use this more often on those. But initially for like tomatoes, potatoes, I'm trying to think what else I have in my garden, my onion, my garlic. When I do watermelon, when I do okra, those things, I'll use this just the very first time when I plant my seedlings. So my plants are getting a lot of fertilizer from the jump. Alrighty, after I do that, I make sure that I water really well. And to be honest with you, I probably overwater the first time I transplant my seedlings. And then after that, for the first week, I'll come and water every day. until they have established themselves. And then after that, maybe every 2 to 3 days, depending on how the weather is. If it's gonna rain, then I won't water that day. If it rains for multiple days, then I might not water, you know, for the majority of the week, maybe once that week. It just depends on how the weather is. Like today, it's really hot outside, very sunny, so I had to water and water deeply. Now, I have to say, as far as pest control, this is probably the #1 thing that I use in my garden. This is called diatomaceous earth, and this is the Harris brand, and it is food grade. OMRI listed, so this is for organic use. If you see OMRI, it's for organic use. And it basically, these are just fossil shells that are ground into a powder. It says fossil shell flour. So this I think was like $8 or $9, but I also got that at Walmart. Maybe it was $11, but it has lasted me. I've had that since last season, and I still have about this much left. And when I say I use it all the time. I use it around my yard too, because we get ants so bad here. I don't know if it's a Texas thing or what, but we get ants so bad. So we'll sprinkle it along like our walkways and things of that nature to try to get rid of the ants in our yard. But I'll also sprinkle it on top of my soil. If I'm gonna do that, I'll make sure that I do it when it's not too hot. But I mean, we're getting to the hotter weather, but when it's not too hot, that way I won't have to water that particular plant or grow bag or container for a couple of days, because that diatomaceous earth is going to dry out the ants and they won't be able to survive. But I use that, and also it's good for snails because it does the same thing, it dries them out. And I'm trying to think, oh, there's another thing that I just bought that we have been using for the snails that I believe has really been working. Okay, I purchased this Garden Safe slug and snail bait. The slugs were the ones that were like the worst. We did have some snails, but those slugs, they were horrible. It says use around flowers, gardens, vegetables, and fruit trees. So this is also OMRI listed. You see it in the back. So it's safe for organic gardening. But I literally just sprinkled it around my planters, especially my sage. They were like really attacking my sage. And then my husband put some wood chips down, and I just sprinkled some of it around the wood chips. I'm sure that the wood chips are mulch, whatever you want to call them. I'm sure those are helping keep the slugs away as well, because they don't like to feel, you know, that hard grittiness around the on their skin. Another thing that I use are eggshells. So I put eggshells, and I've been doing this for several years. So after I crack an egg, I'll rinse it out really well, and I'll just place it in a bowl for a couple of days so that it can dry out. And after it dries out, I just add it to a bag. I have a Ziploc bag full of eggshells. Alrighty, so these are the eggshells. Well, I need to replenish. I actually have some on my counter. It's like a whole bowl full of eggshells that are drying out. But I use this #1. Again, it helps with the snails and slugs. They don't like the feeling of this. And #2, whenever you put it into your soil, over a couple of years, it'll break down and it will put calcium into your soil. Now, at the beginning of the season, actually, let me go back. When you have fruit trees, especially, something that I have learned is that they are prone to fungus, and it's almost inevitable. Like, they are going to get fungus. What we did with our peach tree, and it did help, but I think we pruned it back too much, nonetheless. I just learned this season that you should automatically just assume that your peach trees, any fruit tree is going to get fungus on it. What me and my husband did is we bought this, and this is called copper fungicide, and this is for organic gardening as well. It helps with downy mildew, powdery mildew, black spot, early blight, and with our peach tree we had peach leaf curl, so it helps with that. So the copper fungicide and this Captain Jack's brand, this is what we used. I actually like their products. I used their products when I was in California. I don't see as many of his products here though, but this is what we use. We just sprayed the entire tree. Now you probably, because my husband just went in with both triggers and he did that, now you probably can get you one of those attachments for your hose and use that to spray it. Would that work? I don't know. Or maybe, okay, you know, one of those pumps thingies, I forget what they're called. I guess it's a pump sprayer that you see people using for pesticides. You could get one of those. You can fill it up, pump, 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 and then that way you can just spray like that instead of having to do the trigger. I'm sure we'll do that at some point. But what I'm going to do when the fall comes, I'm going to spray all of my fruit trees down. And then before my fruit trees start to bud, I'm going to spray them down again. And that will help with all of the fungus, because my pear tree did get like this copper fungus on the leaves, and so the leaves are all falling down. I didn't know. This is my first year having a pear tree, so I'm learning as I go. Another thing, so I like to drink raw milk. Raw milk works really well in your garden, you guys. It helps with calcium, so you get calcium from the raw milk. And also when the milk ferments, because raw milk, it basically ferments and it never truly goes bad, if you will. I mean, it gets stinky and rancid, but it never truly like goes bad. And so because it doesn't truly go bad, it ferments and it produces great bacteria. So that can also help with all of the funguses that you get in your trees, anything that you get on your plants. I would, at the end of our raw milk, we usually would have about this much left in our gallon, and I would just go around and I would just pour it into my grow bags. These are things that I just, you know, have picked up over the course of the years from doing research. When I first transitioned to raw milk, that was one of the things that I found was very helpful. So I think this is a part 2 video. I'm realizing this because I'm giving you information about how to take care of your garden and the things to use in the garden to help you have a successful garden. So this is what this video is. So this is a part 2. So I'm getting a 2-for-1 in this recording today. But you guys, I cannot think of anything else. Again, I told you guys about the food scraps in my last video. And so I'll just, as I'm chopping up fruits and vegetables, I'll set them to the side. Or if something goes bad, like get like the strawberries, blueberries, all the berries, they always seem to mold like that. So if those get moldy, I'll just take them outside and dump them in there. Something that I did notice, I have some tomatoes, some volunteer tomatoes that are growing, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with them, because I have a lot of tomatoes already this year. So, but anyway, back to what I was saying. So I'll just cut up any food scraps, put them in the bowl. Sometimes I'll save them to make my bone broth, but a lot here lately I have just been putting them in a bowl, bringing them outside and just placing them directly into the soil, and I'll just kind of spread them around. Sometimes I'll just let them lay on top and let them decompose. When they decompose, sometimes I'll dig and like place them in there. I do all kinds of things. You can also use your blender to blend all of that stuff. I would probably only do that with scrap pieces, not the ones that have mold, unless you have an old blender that you use for that. Maybe you can go to the thrift store and get one. So, but anyway, I'm just trying to give you guys some ideas. But yeah, I think that is it for this video. It is hot out here. I need some water, so I'm gonna go inside. But I hope you guys are enjoying this journey. I will show you the truth of my gardening journey, and I'm hoping to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. I started watermelon and okra and 2 types of cucumbers. It's late. It's very late because I think today is the 21st. So it's late in the season, but I'm going to try anyway. What's the worst that can happen? Maybe I don't get as much harvest, but that's okay. At least I'll get something. But all right, you guys, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you know when I post another video, and share so people know what we're doing over here, and so that someone else can learn and get some good tips. You guys, leave me a comment down below giving me some good information on gardening. I'm planning on putting some marigolds in my garden soon. I have been seeing snakes. I actually saw a snake in one of my little gray bins over there. I don't like snakes. The other day on Facebook, somebody told me that marigolds are supposed to help deter snakes. We'll see. I just know that I live in the country and we have snakes and rodents, okay? There's rats here, frogs, all the things. Literally, there's farmland back there. I'm gonna show y'all. All right, you guys, so here's my fence. And then over the fence, as you can see, there's farmland for days and days and days and days.